Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest and honestly most expensive misunderstandings in the entire world of business. And that's the huge difference between a simple plan and a real, powerful strategy. We're going to use some amazing insights from thinkers like Roger Martin and Seth Godin to really break this all down. Okay, let's just jump right in with this bombshell from Roger Martin. He says that the thing most companies do, that annual ritual we call strategic planning, has pretty much nothing to do with actual strategy. That's a huge claim, right? So let's unpack what he means. So first up, let's dig into this idea of the strategic planning myth. We're going to explore why this super common business practice can feel like you're just spinning your wheels. Lots of meetings, lots of documents, but not a lot of real progress toward actually winning. If you've ever sat through a long planning session, this slide probably feels very familiar. We make these big lists of really good, sensible things to do, right? Improve the customer experience, of course. Open a new plant, sounds great. But the problem is it often ends up being just a wish list of disconnected activities. And here's the absolute heart of the issue. A bunch of separate projects, even good ones, don't magically add up to a competitive advantage. It's just a laundry list. There's no single coherent logic for how you're going to be uniquely better than everyone else at serving your customer. So, this brings us to the most important distinction of all, the difference between a plan and a strategy. And I'm telling you, once you really get this, you will never look at your work the same way again. You just can't unsee it. Right, so if that big long to-do list of good ideas isn't a strategy, then what is? Let's get right into it. Oh man, this slide just nails it. Look at the difference here. Planning feels safe, it's comforting. Why? Because it's all about stuff you can control. Your budget, your activities, your checklist. But strategy? Whoa, that's the total opposite. It's about wading into the messy, uncertain world of things you don't control, like your competitors' moves and, most importantly, your customers' choices. That's why it creates angst. It's supposed to feel a little scary. And here is Martin's definition of strategy, and it's just brilliant. A strategy isn't a list, it's a theory. It's your integrated set of choices. It's a powerful story that explains this is the field we're going to play on, and this is how all of our choices are going to fit together to make us better than anyone else. Okay, to make this really concrete, let's look at a classic example of what a true strategy looks like in the real world. This is a story about how it can completely change an industry. So back when all the big legacy airlines were just playing to play, planning more routes, buying more planes, this tiny little upstart from Texas called Southwest Airlines had something different. They had a real theory for how they were going to win. Now look at this. These choices weren't random at all. They were a tightly woven, integrated system. Their goal wasn't to compete with other airlines, it was to be a cheap, convenient alternative to a Greyhound bus. So flying only one plane model, that made maintenance and training way cheaper. Flying point to point meant planes were in the air making money, not sitting on the ground at a hub. Every single choice reinforced every other choice. And the result of all this? Well, by having a true strategy for winning, instead of just a plan for participating, Southwest didn't just survive, it grew and grew until it completely dominated the US market. But there's another myth that keeps us stuck in this planning trap. And it's this false idea that there's a hard line between the smart people who create strategy and everyone else who just executes it. We all have this mental model, right? Some genius leader sits in a corner office, comes up with a brilliant strategy, and then hands it down for the rest of us, the choiceless doers, to just go do it. Martin says this idea isn't just wrong, it's actually demeaning. The reality is so much cooler. Strategy isn't one big choice at the top. It's a cascade. It's a waterfall of choices. The CEO makes a broad choice, which creates the playing field for the division head to make a more specific choice, which then empowers the team lead, and on, all the way to the frontline person making choices in real time with a customer. When you start to see it this way, it just changes everything. It's not only more effective, it's way more motivating. It respects the intelligence of every single person on your team. It asks them to be a strategist in their own domain, not just a cog in a machine. Okay, so this is the big question then. How do we actually do it? How do we break free from the comfort of planning, which we now know is a trap, and start making these powerful, real strategic choices? Well, here are 4 really actionable steps. Number 1, you have to accept the angst. You can never prove a strategy will work before you do it. Making that choice anyway, that's what leadership is. 2, lay out your logic. What has to be true for this to work so you can test it? 3, keep it simple. If you can't fit it on one page, it's too complicated. And 4, a great point from Seth Godin, pick the right proxy. Don't measure something just because it's easy to count. Measure what actually helps you win.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. You can keep working within the comfortable, familiar system of planning, and you'll get the mediocre results that system is designed to produce. Or you can decide to change the system. You can commit to the hard, uncertain, but way more rewarding work of real strategy.
And that leaves us with one final tough question to think about for yourself and for your team. The path of planning is comfortable. It's predictable, but it is a path to slowly losing. Strategy is hard. It's scary, but it's the only path that gives you a real shot to win. So the choice is yours. Which will you choose?